8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I love. Standard is better than daylight saving time. 5 p.m. on the West Coast, and we are live. Welcome, adventures. I'm your guide, Sean McZoo, and this is the Reptile Show Reporter. As usual, Bill is here, but he keeps coming in and out. So I have Christen from Stygian here. Is that how you pronounce it? Stygian?
Stygian.
Stygian.
Yeah.
Stygian. Okay. All right. We'll talk about that later, more about that. So let's get on with the show and let's start the video. Let's see. All right. All right, we're back. We usually dance with Bill and I when the sound comes on, but Bill wasn't here again. He doesn't seem to be anywhere. I'm going to go over to the chat and take a look, see what's going on there. All right, on with the show. Bill is having issues again. So we'll go ahead and go through. We usually go through the chat and show pictures of everybody on the chat. So Two Turtle Tom, we've got him with his daughter here. All right, there we are, Tom. There's yours. All right, and then who else? Let's see who else is in the chat here. Let's see. Liza Ann. We got Liza Ann with a picture of Bill up top here. There's Liza Ann and Bill. Welcome. And who else is in the chat? Mikey Ben is here. Let's see. Mikey Ben is down here somewhere, like right here. There's Mikey Ben. Welcome. And let's get to the chat. Let's see. CNC Tortoises. I don't have a picture of you, but we can do it at some point. Stephanie Payne, we were trying to get a picture of you, but something happened in our Instagram, so we'll have to do it for the next show. We'll try to bring Bill on. Bill, are you there? And he disappeared. We saw him briefly there for just a second. All right. And then let's see. Closing this here. Chucho Tom, Mikey Ben. All right. Jario Nunez. All right. Welcome. First time here. All right. So let's go ahead and get on with the show. Bill, we'll try one more time. All right. Are we there? Are you there, Bill? And he's gone. So I don't know what the heck. All right. So we'll get Bill and I have one announcement. Our podcast number 13 is live with James Cross, one of our frequent flyers here on the show. Check it out on Instagram, or not Instagram, on Spotify, on YouTube, and everywhere else you can get podcast at. Let's see. All right. So let's see. All right. Let's see. We try Bill again. Bill, are you there? We see him, but he doesn't hear or see us. So we'll just kind of go on without without the thing here. So, all right. So, Christen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about who you are and how we met.
We met, I think, for the first time at the Taylor show, right?
Yes, just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So. Okay, so anyway, sorry. So I'm Stygian Exotics. It's basically a one-man show. I kind of do this by myself. I consider myself more of a specialty breeder or a hobby breeder. I don't really focus on like the very common snakes and reptiles that you would see out there. I kind of do some maybe lesser bred species. I do keep kind of a variety of things because I do have a lot of different interests, but my main focuses are I keep emerald tree boas, which are all dark now in the background. Everyone's sleeping. I keep Woma pythons and breed those every year. I do sand boas. I do Solomon Island ground boas. That's like really my probably my main focus, I would suppose. And then I have like some weird colubrids. Like I have Peruvian calico snakes and Persian rat snakes and Asclepian snakes and things like that. So
great. Okay. How did you get into all this?
Kind of on accident. So I was never really into reptiles until I started working at a reptile store back in 2000. My first reptile was an emerald tree boa. So
Wow.
I really dove in head first. She was sort of a rescue situation, and unfortunately, she ended up passing from a blood parasite that she brought with her from importation. But yeah, from then on, I've just kind of been into it ever since. I have changed focus a couple times over the years as I've grown and kind of my interests have changed. And I did step out of the hobby entirely for about 5 years. And then I came back to it, and now I'm kind of like obviously very in deep again. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun. I like the educational side, and I like the challenge of like maybe some harder to keep species.
Okay. All right. I'm being distracted by Bill coming in and out. We put him in and put him out. This is really strange, but all right. Um, so how did you get into going to reptile shows? Was that something you always did before you started to vend at them, or?
Yeah, I actually started with the Taylor show when it was in that tiny little building initially. And I was there for a while, and then I kind of stepped out of it because for me, um, I don't really love the vendor side of being at expos as much as I do like enjoy the other side of it and getting to explore the tables and talk to people and things. It's not to say I don't appreciate that side of it as well, but it's more stress.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that. I'm like that as well. I promised
yeah,
12 months. I only did 10, but I paid for all 12. And I decided to go show to show and meet people and talk to them. And somehow Bill
yeah,
and I figured out this. We used to be called Exotic Pet Adventure. It's got a long history of the show, but we then called it Reptile Show Reporter. And he goes to a few shows, but I go to all these shows. And so I've only been to
yeah.
the Taylor show twice, but
Oh,
I got
really?
pulled there. Yes. I
Okay.
forgot who no, Eric from D&D Cresties was the one who actually talked me into it, but I knew several other people there, so it was
Okay.
fun, and I went twice now, so it's and I guess it's one of my regular shows. There's Bill, he's on and he's gone again, so wow, this is crazy. I'm gonna stop putting him on. All right, Bill, you there? Can you hear us? He cannot hear us. All right, so
Man.
all right, so you don't appreciate the vendor side as much. I had the same problem. I would go and I'd be by myself or with my kids and my wife,
Right.
but if you're by yourself, you can't go to the restroom, you can't leave, you can't eat well. It just, and some of the shows
Yeah.
are long. The Taylor show goes from 10 to 4, which is a little odd because most shows stop at 3, but
Yeah.
but, uh, but that was great because I was able to stay a little longer this time. So, and I ended
Yeah.
up going over to the Reptarium afterwards. I missed my 5 o'clock appointments. I had to make a 7 o'clock appointment or what have you scheduled. But all right, let's try Bill one more time. Bill, are you there? And he's gone. So, wow, this is embarrassing. It's him
That's
and his
unfortunate.
software, but yes. And so, all right. So let's see what we got going on in the. All right. So, okay. Um, so what else can you tell us about yourself?
Uh, there's Bill again.
Yes.
Gonna let him try.
Hey, Bill, are you there? Can you hear us? Hmm. All right. All right. We'll just have to, as long as he's there, we'll just let him be there. But yeah, he's there, but he's not there, I guess. He's there visually, but not, and I can bring him on and off, but I keep bringing him on and it keeps not working. So it's kind of crazy.
That's
But
weird.
anyways, so
Yeah, it sounds like it's
um,
time to switch services for sure.
yeah, I know, but yeah, for me, I think is why his service works perfect for him. But this is a service he got me onto, and then I bought a year's worth of the stuff just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago on Black Friday, whatever it was, and so now I've got a year's worth of stuff. But I think I'm going to have to switch to the other service. Let's try this one more time here.
Man.
It's embarrassing. Bill, are you there? No. Okay. All right. So we'll just keep going with you
All good.
and go from there. So Stygian, right?
Stygian. Yeah, Stygian.
Stygian. How did
Yeah.
you get that name?
So It came so the source for it was there's a Conan the Barbarian movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in
Mhm,
it, and there's a
mhm.
line that he says like Stygian, the best, and it's during some part of the movie or whatever, but it just kind of
Okay,
some my husband was like, "Oh, you should use that. That's great." And unfortunately, it's been like sort of the bane of my hobby existence just because it's hard to pronounce and it's hard to
mhm,
remember. And I feel like I'm sort of stuck with it at this point just because I've had it for a while now and I've had
great.
enough of a brand name built with it that it's sort of like weird to
Mhm.
switch at this point. Um,
Yes,
but I just wanted something that kind of stood out a little bit.
yeah.
Um,
It
and
said
we're
it has
fans of
some.
nerd stuff.
It's
Mhm.
some at some point I looked it up and it said something about the river Styx and all that other kind of mythology. Is there something that you know about
Yeah.
that, or is that just, it just came from Conan the Barbarian and
Yeah. And
probably
there's
came
something
from the
like,
same book?
yeah. And then there's like something about Stygian means dark or something too. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just kind of was what we settled on. I was going back and forth with all these different ideas, and it's tough. It's tough to pick something. So
Are you hearing my daughter in the background crying? Is that
just a
loud enough
little
you
bit.
can hear? A
It's
little bit,
okay.
okay. But all right. Hey Jen, can you work on abs? Okay, okay, she's trying, and and I'm
It's all good.
questioning. But anyway, so yeah, that's when Bill. I turn off my mic and Bill talks, but he's not here. He's intermittently here, so they're
We'll make it
telling
work.
Bill to try unplugging your mic and headphones and sign off and plug back in. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but Two Turtle Tom is the guy saying, suggesting that he's also used the same software as we do because he got on it for the same reason we did because Bill did. But
Yeah.
anyways, so okay, so how do you select what to breed?
So that's a good question.
Mhm,
Um, I'll just start off with my Woma pythons. That's one of my kind of passion hobbies or
mhm,
passion breeding projects right now.
mhm,
There are still not very many Woma python breeders in the US
mhm,
being taken very seriously or working with many true morphs
mhm,
or line bred traits or anything like that. And there's still quite a bit of people just throwing whatever Woma pythons they got for as cheap as possible together and just producing, I don't want to say garbage, but they're not chasing something. They're not line breeding for something. They're just putting them together to have them. So with my Woma pythons, I've been trying to do targeted breeding. So I'm trying for higher contrast, higher color. There are a lot of really gorgeous Woma pythons out there with high orange and high yellow, but then they do muddy out as they age. So I'm trying to kind of define that maybe and make it a little bit higher contrast. I have been working on temperament breeding as well, breeding together two Womas that don't have a nasty temperament to see if that has any effect on their kind of attitude as babies. I'm knocking my computer all over the place for some reason. But so far I feel like I've had decent success doing that. The babies that I've produced have been very high contrast and have over the last 3 years now or whatever, I've seen some really incredible adults come out of them. So I'm enjoying that. I'm actually kind of ballooned up my Woma Python collection size. Um, I I don't know. I enjoy working with them. I think they're very colubrid like in a lot of ways. And like I said, not a very commonly kept species still. Um, I think for the things like sand boas that I have, that seems very like, oh, sand boas, they're little and silly or whatever. But that was really kind of one of my first loves. So I just have like a bunch of different like genetic combinations that I appreciate and that I want to take the time to maybe line breed or perfect or do this or that with it. And then I also keep like the Solomon Island ground boas are one of my other biggest focuses, and probably what most of my followers follow me for. Um, I work with the like the high white ones, and so I am um, trying to learn as much as I can about them as I go, because there's not a lot of real concrete information out there on the internet on that. There's some really terrible care guides out there. There's some really bad advice out there. And there are a lot of bitter people who tried keeping them once upon a time, had terrible success. And now you get that all over Facebook. Oh, they all die and they all do this and they're all awful. And that's not really true. But they didn't get the chance to be established in the hobby very well. So you get this like influx of, we had all those wild caught ones come in all of a sudden. No one knows how to take care of them. And there were literally thousands and thousands of these babies born in the States suddenly and being starved to death because nobody knew what to do with them. So I am trying to change that and make access to that information easier. Like I have a care guide document thing that I've been working on writing that I give to people to read. It's actually linked on my link tree if anyone's interested. But basically, I'm compiling my experiences keeping them, combined with scientific papers I've read, combined with nights I've spent, 6 hours in the middle of the night looking on iNaturalist and tracking down the islands that they come from and which color phases can be found here and there, compiling information on obesity with them and how long they're gravid for and what things impact those, all of that to them. So there's just, I think that's really my main drive with them, really, is the educational point. So I have quite a collection of them, but I definitely am focusing on the high whites for sure. And then I have like red ones that I'm going to be breeding as well. And they are just, there's a lot left to understand about them. There's a lot of the, why do they do this? Why do they crash suddenly? Why do they refuse to eat sometimes? And there's a big misunderstanding about what they will feed on as babies. And I have had people accuse me of lying about it, which is really insane. Like, so I've had, I don't know, 500, 600 babies in the time I've been breeding them now. I don't know what my motivation would be to lie about something like that. But I've had people tell me they won't start on pinkies. They won't do this and that. And I was like, actually, they will if you take care of them properly and give them the proper cage. And there are definitely stubborn ones that need other sources of food to start out. But it's such a weird misconception perpetuated by people's bad experiences, basically. Like if you go to the tailor show sometimes, you'll find $15, $30 ones on people's tables, the babies, the little tiny little dinky babies. They've never eaten anything. And so people buy them for $30 and then they're dead in 2 weeks. So they get, of course, a bad taste in their mouth, and that perpetuates the story that they're terrible animals and whatnot. And it's just not the case.
Excuse me for just a sec. Is anyone else hearing the echo? I hear when I have Bill up, I hear an echo, and when I put him down, it's not. Can you actually hear us, Bill?
I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear him.
Oh, well, hello. And you have an echo when I come up?
Yeah. Does anyone else hear it? If no one else is hearing it, I'm not gonna worry about it. We'll just let it go.
I hear it.
Okay. All right. So okay. All right, Bill. I'm gonna put you down for a little bit, and then we'll bring you back up when. Or do you want to? I don't know how
Actually,
to.
no, did the echo go away?
I wonder if we mute while each other are talking, if that would help at all.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and so go ahead and talk and see if you.
Okay. Can you hear the echo now?
No, I don't hear the echo now. I guess it's on his side. So
okay, yeah.
All right. So we just have Bill can hear us, but he can't talk. But we will let him talk whenever he wants to ask a question. But we're doing well now, so we won't worry about it. Maybe he's got something else. Maybe in a second. He's got all that stuff over there. I don't know how much he's got. Yeah, everyone's saying it's better. So
Good.
in the chat. So okay.
Figured it out.
All right. So you're talking about the different reasons you chose different species.
Yeah. I also work with, so I said the sand boas before, but I feel like I should cycle back around to this. Saharan sand boas. Those are often sold on expo tables for $35 to $50, and they're most of the time half dead, covered in mites, internal parasites, all that good stuff. And there is such a weird misunderstanding about those snakes as well. And they get mislabeled as Kenyan sand boas, and there's a lot of like just BS kind of surrounding them and the sale of them. So that is another thing I'm trying to change. I keep and breed a lot of Saharans. I've had good success breeding them now, which I feel is cool. There's not many people breeding them in the US. There's a handful of people maybe working with them. in any serious kind of manner. So that is another one of my kind of focuses.
We have a question. Do you send the pinkies to get them the bows to start on those, or no? Not
Nope.
at all. Okay, nothing.
So
Wow.
so when I have a group of babies born, I'll have a litter born, and they will crap out anywhere from 20 to 110 babies at a time. So that's a huge difference. I find on the litters that are bigger, like quantity wise, you get worse feeders. So when you have litters born that are like 20 to 40 babies or something, you get better feeders. They're bigger, they're more robust. The mom bounces back better. I'm sure it's just very draining on the mom. And I have noticed a correlation to if they stop eating while they're pregnant or gravid, it produces worse babies. If they give birth too soon, and there's a huge, so 6 to 9 months is their window of gestation. So I've had ones give birth as early as 5.5 months, and then as late as like almost 10 months. But 6 to 9 seems to be like that window, which is a crazy long window, right?
So let me confirm, these are live births then?
Yeah,
Bows,
yeah, they're live
Okay,
births.
They're bows, yeah. So they're
Yeah,
live. Okay.
yeah. And so it's really critical in the first weeks of life that they completely are allowed to de-stress. If that is not given to them, you're basically condemning them to dying.
So
I
do you
set them,
separate them at birth and put
yeah.
them in different cages?
So my
Okay.
process is the first 24 hours, I leave them in a humid box together, basically, where they can finish their sheds. They all shed right at birth, but if the humidity is not right, they need a little bit of extra support for that first 24 hours. It is really hard to tell whether or not they've shed properly. So that's why I just do a humid box with them all together. You find lots of little balled up sheds in about 24 hours. And then I separate them all out. I put them into the smallest containers I can put them into that provides enough space for a hide, a water dish, and that's pretty much it. Bigger houses or tubs or whatever stresses them out. And I firmly believe that's because they are a prey item, heavily a prey item on the islands they come from. They're so small. There's no way all 100 babies from each litter is going to survive on these tiny islands. That's just not how it works. So you're going to have babies in each litter that just don't thrive. That has been my experience so far. Even the ones that will start eating will oftentimes crash later. And it doesn't seem to make sense. Like I've had a repeat pattern of several years in a row with this sort of stuff where like you'll have maybe like 2 or 3 in each litter where they'll eat once or twice and then they just will never eat again. And it's like their programming shuts down, and it's very strange. But about, I would say like 60% of my litters will take unscented hour-old pinky mice right off the bat. So I give them 7 to 10 days to settle, and then I leave a pinky mouse in overnight with them. The
So
ones
these are
that,
live pinkies, not frozen thawed? Okay.
no, like hour-old, piping hot, like barely had time to nurse on mom. The smallest you can get, the better. And they will oftentimes, like half of them will take them. The ones that don't take them right away, I just try again in a couple days, and I give them a couple shots with the pinky mice before I do other things like scenting or whatever. It is just very critical that they're in a low traffic area. You don't have lights on them. You give them the right heat, and they're just left alone. Otherwise, you will not have success with these animals. I've had people buy them from me. They're this little, and they're the size of like a pen when you get them, and they put them into like 40-gallon tanks or giant enclosures, and then Christen, it won't eat. And it's like, okay, well, you have to go down. They just are very stressy snakes. So you have to treat them very gently. Like, I hate to use the like comparison, but like a green tree python baby, how they're neonates and they're just very shy and fragile. It's very similar in that regard. But once you get one that's eating pinkies reliably and has had like, 5 to 6 meals, those are solid animals. Those are ones that they're not going to crash. They do great. So I have recently changed my method for stubborn eaters. I found another method that works really well. And basically, the ones that won't take pinkies, if you put a live guppy, overnight in their water dish, they will eat it. And after like 2 or 3 times of taking those guppies, they will switch on to pinky mice without any fuss. No scenting needed. They just take them. So
Wow.
I think it's just a matter of getting nutrition into them, getting them going, and getting them hunting and looking for food. You just don't want to miss those first like 2 to 4 weeks. They're so critical. Because even if I've had ones hold out until like almost 3 months, and they'll take a pinky just out of the blue, out of like, just like, okay, I've decided to eat, but then it's too late. And they're already shutting down and dying. So they're just weird. It is an intense thing to breed them, and to breed them in as high quantity as I do. And I like this year I produced 120 or something babies of the species, of just the species. So it can be a lot for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Bill, can you talk to us now, or?
I believe I can talk to you now.
Yes, we can hear you. So
Hey.
ask away.
Well, actually, I am just soaking it all in. Having a snake is out of my a terrestrial snake is out of my way out of my experience.
But you have a green tree python, right? Or is it which one
Emerald
do you
tree
have?
boa, but that's an
Emerald tree
arboreal.
boa. Okay.
You know what though? These are actually semi-arboreal.
Oh, excellent. Well, okay.
Yeah. And I've seen too many people just keep them straight on paper without any kind of anything to do. And they become nasty when they're kept like that too. Mean, because they're so stressed out. They just they lash out and they get really bitey, and their attitudes just kind of change. Babies love babies. Anything up to like, I would say 5-ish years old will perch like a green tree python if you give them the opportunity. And I've actually they will coil across the perch in the same way.
All right, guess I got to get another snake. Dang it!
Oh, you got to get. It's cool.
Running into different things. The reason I do this show is because I don't want to get all these things. But now I keep talking to people, and I get all excited about these different things. And you know, I got a milk snake from the show a couple weeks ago. From this guy from Kim.
Oh yeah. Kim's awesome.
He doesn't even have a name for he doesn't even call him Kim snake. He just calls it. He's just like I'm just selling these snakes.
He's just Kim.
And I'm just like, okay, you got a name for yourself? I'm like, okay, I'll try that. I'll try. You know, maybe I'll get my audience to help you pick out a few names, and I'll bring them back to you, and you can decide if they're going to be that way or not.
He'll do this. He'll go. That's exactly the gesture he'll make.
but he said, but maybe. I don't know. He kind of like
really.
I started to get a little thaw from the ice of that, and I'm just like, okay, maybe he'll be okay with it. But we should let's just do that right now. Let's go ahead and look at his. This is him.
Hey.
This is him.
Yep.
All right. And
you know what he won't tell you is he used to breed a lot of coach whips back in the day. And he actually used to produce a lot of like the high red coach whips that everybody's drooling over and wants to get their hands on. But he will tell you faster than anybody else that those are a pain in the butt to keep and breed.
Wow. Okay.
Almost not worth the effort, I would argue.
Now, this is what's on his table.
Yeah.
Milk snakes and a corn snake. And this is the other view of his table. And I just won't keep it up till because of prices. I didn't delete those, but just because we're also on Facebook as well as YouTube here, so I don't want to be trying to sell anything on here because I'm not. But that's his table. Yeah. Anyone have any ideas? I'm going to actually put up. I actually bought one from him myself. Where is it at? Here it is.
Yep.
It's a milk snake.
Beautiful.
It's a tilapia or something. It's a Mexican milk snake. It's got that orange spot, and it's the stripes will get a little oranger. It's really tiny. It just looks a lot bigger than it is, but
yeah.
But and it took a pinky right away. You know, like right away. He actually, the nice thing about him, he actually has cages that he's selling.
Yeah.
I know they're not like forever cages, but for these size snakes, they're like the ones with the little screens on either side, and they're like a container. And
Mm-hmm.
he sells a hide and a water bowl and the medium. I'm like, wow, I can't deny this guy. I gotta buy this thing because you get home and you're like, what do I do with the snake? I gotta pull something out of a different spot and put a cage together. And this time I didn't have to do it, which is much like the hedgehog that my wife and I bought for one of the people who've been on the podcast and actually on the live show as well, the Reptiles of Eden. But that. So if anyone has any ideas about this, Kim and whatever, and I'm actually I do 4 times a week. I do the pillars, I do the show itself, the vendors, the other stuff, and tomorrow I'm going to do that snake. You can either name the snake or name his company, and we'll get back to him and figure out what we could do, and let's see if he'll accept it. He probably won't, but we should try anyway. So we'll just kind of give him a try. So all right,
he's a good guy. He's a good dude.
Yes, he is. He didn't have any cards. He has an incredible care sheet. He has a care sheet, a general care sheet for snakes, and a care sheet for this particular snake. And it's like 4 pages, and I'm like, wow! And little tiny print. I had to put glasses on, and even then I could barely read it. But but he's got no cards, no name, no just cash only.
Yep.
He started
PayPal, but he started with entomology, so he will talk your head off about insects. That's like really.
I bought some bugs from him. I bought some mealworms. The grubs, and I bought some mealworms from my wife's. She has what do you call them? They're what did you say? She's yelling in the background. What? Micro squirrels. So she's got micro squirrels, and they eat those. Eat all kinds of bugs. But plus I also fed him to my frilled dragon. So I got Australian frilled dragon. So he's getting huge. But I got him at Tinley last time. But
awesome.
Anyways, but so where else have you been vending?
So I spent like a year and a half kind of doing a bunch of shows to see where I would settle, which shows did the best for me, where I connected the best with people, what was worth my driving time, basically. I have fibromyalgia. So for me, like being on my feet and doing these high stress shows gets very old very quick sometimes. Sure. So it needs to be worth it for me to be spending a whole day doing this. It's like another job. Right. But I have settled on basically I'm doing Taylor and I'm doing the Celine Expo, which moved from the Jackson Expo.
It's coming up this January, right? The 6th of January or something like that.
Yep, that'll be the first
show.
I've
got my family Christmas on that day, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do about it.
You got to sneak away. You got to sneak away.
I don't know if I can sneak all the way up to Celine and back.
Make it a Christmas
before 4 o'clock. So we'll have to see. I'm not a morning person, so getting up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning to be somewhere, I don't think that's going to happen. We'll
trust me, it's not. It's not.
I've been told by Eric from D&D and Seth Hurst and several other people who are going to be there have told me I need to be there, and I'm like,
I honestly I think it's going to be one of the biggest shows and one of the most impactful shows in Michigan when it gets going. The people that are running the Celine show are all about quality and quality control. They are not letting anyone vend that has any kind of issues, has complaints against them, things like that. They take very seriously. It's going to be, the reactions to the posts and stuff have been like stellar. I just think that it's like a perfect location because you've got the Celine people, the Ann Arbor people, you've got the campus kids, that whole area is going to be around it, like Ipsy, everything. So I'm really hoping that it takes off and does well. Because it's like 10 minutes from my house too. That would be fabulous. Like, I would love that.
That's perfect. Right.
Yeah.
So, I know that, good sleep and, good diet and good exercise is one of those are all the basics of dealing with your particular situation. So staying on your feet, not eating well, and getting up early to get.
I know those are all worse.
Is exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. So in my day job is being a physician. So
oh really?
Yes. That's why this is just a hobby for me. Bill's making it a lot more than a hobby because he's pulling me along, making me do. These live shows. I know he got me into this, and then he got me into podcasting and all this other stuff. But I'm trying not to have so many because I got Mizzou Exotics and I'm breeding different things, chameleons and other things, and I'm trying to stay out of doing too much of that stuff. But it's hard. It's
it is hard.
But now I'm
You
just
get
getting
swept up.
one. If I only get one single of each species, then I can't breed them. And if they're not like connected, then I can't get myself into any trouble. So then,
Exactly.
we both, with chameleons particularly, individual raising is important, and separating them at birth and having enough space for that. And so that gets really, really, you can get in trouble really fast because half of them, not half of them, probably a quarter, Bill, are live births, and because they're all there's 228 species of chameleons, and
we just have some of the Trioceras and Bradypodian on the mainland do the live birth, but they seem to be eggs. This is Jackson's chameleon has really we see Jackson's chameleons a lot.
So but then the rest are eggs, and so you can diapause them a little bit longer, keep them at a cold temperature for a while, because most of them are from Madagascar, and many of them have to have diapause and what have you. The panthers are the ones that we've originally started and got doing stuff, but they don't need a diapause, but you could diapause them as well. So one of our buddies from Ipardalis, it's right in front of me. John from Ipardalis is actually very good at doing that. He's diapaused them for a couple extra months, so and sorts his different hatch, different groups, clutches like that. But awesome. What you can and can't do is it's kind of challenging to stay. Let's see what we got in the chat here. What else do we got? All right, Chris from Zev Green Reptiles, January 8th. He's gonna go. He's gonna actually have one. He's gonna do a. He's gonna have his own show out there in Michigan. So he's gonna. I don't remember what city it is. Tell me what city it is, Chris.
It's like north of Detroit, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be he's going to have a different one himself. So he's going to start a brand new show. So we'll see how far away that is from you. Are you south of Detroit, or where are you located?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in Ann Arbor, so I'm like west of Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bill's in California, so he's he's the reason why we talk about the West Coast on the start of the show. He's in there's people. All these people are for different. Some of them from Canada. Some of them are from different areas. I think we have someone in every time zone that tunes in regularly. So New Baltimore is what he said. So I don't know where that's at or what have you, but I think he's going to start his in February. So, okay.
Perfect.
All right. We'll have to figure out if it's good enough. And starting a new reptile show, if you've never done it before, it can be quite a challenge. And he was on a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, actually, right after the last show first show I went to. I still didn't get I was late to the show in Taylor this month, and I was going to get a picture with Chris, and he left right before I got there. So it was like, okay, but, all right. Bill, Tom is asking thoughts on the one-day show that happened a few weeks ago in Southern California. Were you aware of it? Anything?
No. I heard about it. I was sent an ad for it, but I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it beforehand, and I didn't hear about it afterwards.
So no thoughts.
No thoughts whatsoever.
All right, that's good. Okay.
But I think that even though we are the land of the super show, I think that small regional shows would do great here.
Right.
I mean, we'd eat them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have we have these regional shows that are once a month or once every couple months. In California, they have like every three or 2 or 3 times a year. They have a mega show. It's a huge show. It's
save it up.
Taylor would make Taylor look tiny. They're like as big, if not bigger, than Tinley. So it's have you ever been to Tinley before? Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I only went once. The first time I went was this year. So
really,
my last show.
Okay.
So I'm only going to be able to go one more time, and then my daughter's getting married in October. So I'm gonna, unless I can finagle good, Tinley on Sunday after the whole wedding thing, and I don't think that's not going to go any better than the show. That's going to go a lot worse than the show on our family Christmas. So I get myself in trouble, but I always think I could do a lot more than I can, and that's probably why I ended up exactly where I'm at now. But all right. All right, so it's blessed by the Super Show promoter or whatever that means. But okay, all right. So, any other thoughts for us today, Christen?
I don't know. I breed some other stuff too. I have emerald tree boas. I know Bill said he likes green trees. Yeah, so cool.
Emerald trees.
My emerald tree boa babies that I was anticipating this year were all stillborn.
Oh.
I don't know what happened. I talked to a couple other breeder friends about it, but that was a real big bummer because I was really anticipating that. But I don't know. I have a lot of projects up and coming. So I have some cool stuff like the Peruvian sand snakes. They go by different names, Fitzinger's calico snakes, or they're a Peruvian snake. They stay only like 3 feet long. I don't know if you've heard of them before, but they're like a weird colubrid that
I have not. Have you, Bill?
I have not.
You should look them up.
How many people do know that?
Yeah.
Are you dealing with very rare species that few people know about?
Yeah, a little bit.
And how is the market for that?
So, I'm trying to think of the name of the guy that bred my babies. Oh wow, I just pulled a blank, stupid moment.
Because in the chameleon world, we have that issue. We have so many different species, and if you do really well with a rare species, you may end up with a whole lot of babies not being able to sell them because nobody knows what it is.
No, I get a lot of messages about them. They are like they're sort of a gold color, and they get this like gunmetal spotting along their body. Very beautiful, very docile snakes. Even like right out of the egg, they really are just like very chill, very relaxed. And they're just like, some of them turn pumpkin orange, like that yellow turns pumpkin orange. So they're like, I encourage you to look up photos. They're amazing snakes.
Wow. Now I got more homework.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm raising up a pair right now to produce them hopefully in a couple years. They still need they're very slow growers. So they still need like probably 2 years of growth. And then I'm going to be doing some Persian rat snakes. I've got melanistic Persians, and I have melanistic Aesculapians and regular Aesculapians. Wow. So those are my other kind of projects that I'm working on kind of quietly, but
not anymore. You've
I know, right? Now I've told everyone. I mean, like
I'm sure this isn't the whole world, but
right.
you know, the United States and some of Canada.
Yeah, it's been an interesting.
That big, but good.
Yeah, it's been an interesting process, kind of figuring out what I want to do and what species I want to keep and stuff. Because I don't know, I feel like my interests have shifted a couple times over the years, and I'm trying to think of the name of the guy. I'm gonna say his name, and you guys are gonna go, "Oh, duh, that guy." Guy that bred them. That's
You'll
gonna bother me.
2 minutes after we get off the air. So
I know.
You tell us, and we'll put it on the. You just put. Actually, there's this recording is going to be on YouTube and the Reptile Show Reporter Facebook group. You just put it in the comments.
Okay, here we go. I just found it.
There you go.
Stan Grumbeck.
Stan Grumbeck.
You don't know him?
No.
Oh, okay. You're not in the know.
We're big chameleon people, and I have a whole bunch of assorted other things. Half of my creatures are chameleons, and the other half are assorted. Like, I have a frilled dragon. I have crested gecko. I have a lot of New Caledonia geckos. I have crested. I have Chihuahuas. Awesome. I have what else? I have the chameleon geckos, and I'm actually watching somebody else's geckos while she goes to vet school. She went to vet school, and she gave me her pairs of New Caledonia geckos, and I keep seeing baby after baby after baby because she kept hers together. I keep mine separate, she only gave me 4 cages with 8 geckos, and I'm like, okay. So there's baby after baby after baby, so it's going to be interesting. So
that's cool. My collection is all legless. The only legged animals I have are my morning geckos, and those are bred as feeders. So.
Oops. I I have giant day geckos, but they're not feeders at all.
Oh no.
Unless
Unfortunately, that's the
dogs,
life of the morning
but,
gecko.
no, they won't.
I used to breed monitors and stuff, but it's just I kind of got out of it after after I don't know 10 years or something of it. So, but I used to breed king gorhams, and then I actually bred Argus monitors and tried a couple of different species, but varied success. Argus monitors breed every year, but that's a lot of work. I'm not into that anymore. So.
You kept telling me many moons ago that I would love snakes and get into snakes and be breeding snakes.
Yeah,
I like snakes. They're cool, but not that interested in going to them. And I mean, maybe try it once or whatever. But I just, it's not my thing. I have 4 or 5 different species of snakes, but no, that's not my thing. I'm much more into chameleons. I don't know why, because there's so much more challenge.
Everyone has their thing.
I have 8 or 10 species currently right now, so it's I can't even keep track of how many species I have depending on it. But I'm only breeding a few. But that could be that way.
No, that's what the hobby's all about: finding out what you love and developing your passion in whatever species that draws you in. So,
Bill, do you have any other questions?
I don't.
Okay.
This has been very cool.
Any final words, Christen?
Thank you for having me on the show. This is my second podcast. So
and it was great to get to know you. And hey, if you want to do a podcast where we record it, just me and you talking in more depth and in a longer time frame, and probably we usually do about an hour, but we won't be trying to get Bill on the show on and off 100 times. Because Bill, I think I'm going to have to go to the new software. That's got to be the problem. It works for me, but never any of my guests. So,
really? So you have problems with the guests too?
Sometimes, from time to time, a little bit, but it's like, and my co-host can't get on. It's one of those. I mean, I got a whole year of Restream, but it's like I've already paid for it, so that's a sunk cost. So I got to throw that out the window and think about the quality of the whole show. So I'll have to. But the problem is I'll have to take all the stuff, all the videos and the audios and all this other stuff that I put on there and put it on new. But so I'm just gonna have to do it at some point and figure it out. But we'll get it. We'll do it and we'll get it done, and you'll know because you'll get a different kind of link. So all right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Christen, for being here. Thanks, everyone, for spending time with us evening. This has been a great show. It started off a little rough on the AV side, but that's live. You can't do it like you do the recorded ones where you can cut stuff and move stuff and change stuff. And I guess I don't move it, but I can cut stuff that doesn't seem like it's a good time or when people can't get on or not. And the other stuff. The podcasts load up and they're perfect when they load down. But when you do this, it's just the way it is. It comes as it is. So,
all
right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.